I speak to you in this moment when your soul feels as if it has come to a standstill. Yet, in reality, it is being gently drawn away from an old foundation you have held on to for far too long. There are things you have named stability, but before me, they are only fragile structures formed from the fear of losing what you know. You have become so used to leaning on what feels familiar that you no longer recognize the difference between true peace and the quietness of a heart holding itself together to keep from breaking. But I, who know the deepest places within you, I am calling you out of that space. It is no longer the place where I have appointed you to remain. As it is written, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives." John 14:27. Do you understand? True peace is never built on mere endurance, nor does it come from trying to keep everything calm by avoiding what is true. My peace is life. It is presence. It is the place where your soul no longer has to make itself smaller just to survive. Yet many times, you have chosen temporary shelters made of habits and attachments. These things keep you from feeling alone, but they also keep you from being free. I see clearly the nights when you lie still, with no tears left to cry, yet with no joy remaining either. You have called that maturity, but in truth, it is the sign of a soul that has learned how to endure instead of how to live. I see the relationships you continue to hold because you fear emptiness, even though deep inside you know they lessen you and make you forget the original image I placed within you. I also see the choices you make simply to keep everything peaceful, yet that calm is like the surface of frozen water, still on top, but cold and isolating underneath. Remember the people of Israel during their journey out of Egypt. They stood before the Red Sea, with pursuit behind them and the unknown ahead of them. At times, they wished to return to slavery simply because it felt familiar. Yet I spoke through Moses. Do not be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Exodus 14:13. You too are standing at such a threshold. Behind you are old foundations. Before you is the land I am opening. And I do not lead you out of what is old in order to abandon you, but to bring you into what is real. I do not call you to leave because I want to remove your refuge, but because I know those places no longer carry life. There are foundations that seem strong, yet even the gentlest wind is enough to expose the cracks within. And I will allow that wind to move through, not to destroy you, but to help you clearly see what must be released. Like Abraham, when he was called to leave his homeland, he was not given the entire map, but he was given a promise. Go to the land I will show you. Genesis 12:1. In the same way, you are being guided not by control, but by trust. You have believed that holding on to what is familiar would keep you safe, but I tell you, true security is not found in control. It is found in belonging. You were not created to live inside structures built from the fear of being abandoned. You were created to dwell in my presence, a place where you do not need to pretend you are whole or conceal your weakness. I am your refuge and your fortress. Psalm 91:2. Not the temporary attachments you have mistaken for peace. Remember Peter when he stepped out of the boat onto the sea. As long as his eyes stayed fixed on me, he walked upon the waves. But when he turned his attention to the wind, he began to sink. Matthew 14:29-30. In the same way, I am calling you to step out of the boat of familiar limitations, not to place you in danger, but to teach you how to live in another kind of security, the security of my presence. And I am standing there in the very center of the storm you fear, ready to keep you from sinking when you choose to trust. My child, I do not speak these things to weigh down your heart, but to awaken what has been sleeping within you for far too long. There is a part of you that has already outgrown the places where you remain, yet you have held yourself back because you have not yet dared to let go. I do not ask you to become strong all at once. I only ask that you be willing to believe that where I am leading you is not loss. But largement. You are being guided out of a narrow room into a place where your soul can finally breathe. And as you begin to release, you will see that not everything falls apart, but rather that what was never truly yours begins to fall away. What is real will not require you to grip it tightly, because I myself will hold it for you. You are not being left in emptiness. You are being brought into a place of renewal. I am clearing what surrounds you, so that you will no longer live by endurance, but by the fullness of life. Beloved, listen to me in this stillness. I do not take away in order to impoverish you, but to make you free. I do not dismantle the old foundation to leave you without direction, but to establish you upon what is true. And when you move forward, you will understand that what you once saw as loss was only a doorway guiding you into the place where you have always belonged. Therefore, rise not with confusion, but with the awareness that I am leading you. You do not walk by yourself. You are not forsaken. You are being drawn out of the shadow of what is temporary into a light that will never fade. And as you walk, I will go before you, beside you, and behind you, so that not one step you take will fall outside of my care. I speak to you with the tenderness of mercy, for I see clearly that what you are going through is not a meaningless collapse, but a process through which I am quietly reshaping your soul. You have lived like one who builds shelters in uncertain lands, and through the wisdom born from fear, you chose foundations that appeared safe, but carried no life. You have learned to lower your expectations so you would not be disappointed, to keep your distance so you would not be hurt, and to remain silent so conflict would not arise. Little by little, you have called this stability. Yet ye, who see beyond every layer, know that beneath the calm you feel, your soul has often had to make itself smaller, simply to survive. And then I begin to do something you do not always comprehend. At first, I allow those foundations to shake, not to destroy you, but to awaken you from a structure that is no longer spacious enough for the true self I am forming within you. As it is written, if the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? Psalm 11:3. You are entering that very question, not so you may be lost in confusion, but so you may realize that I never set your destiny upon anything that can be easily shaken. I am moving you from sand to rock, from what is temporary to what is eternal. You are beginning to recognize that what once gave you a feeling of safety can no longer hold you as it once did. Praise no longer sustains you. Acceptance no longer steadies you. And relationships that once made you feel you belonged now require you to shrink in order to fit. You may believe this is loss, but I tell you it is an opening. Like Abraham, when he departed from his homeland, he did not lose his place. He was guided into a promise he had not yet seen. Genesis 12:1-2. You are in that same movement, not being stripped away, but being led forward. I see clearly the walls you have built so that no one could touch the most fragile places within you. You believed that if they were high enough, thick enough, and sealed tightly enough, you would no longer feel pain. But you did not realize that those same walls have also kept you distant from my breath. I do not come to break you, but to enter the places you have sealed away because of fear. As it is written, behold, I stand at the door and knock. Revelation 3:20. I do not force the door open. I knock so that you may realize that I am the one you have been searching for beneath every layer of defense. There is a story in Scripture. You must remember Joseph. When he was young, he received great dreams, yet he was cast into a pit, unsettled, and forgotten in prison. Seen through natural eyes, every foundation of his life appeared to have fallen apart, but in truth, it was not destruction. It was hidden construction. Every place that looked like loss was the very place where I was shaping him into someone able to carry what I had promised. And at the appointed time, Joseph was no longer the man of the pit or the prison, but the one who stood in authority, bringing provision and salvation to many. Genesis 41. In the same way, what is trembling in your life is not a sign of failure, but a sign that you no longer belong to the old level. I hear the question rising quietly within your heart. Why have the things I once depended on suddenly become unstable? And I answer you with a truth that is both gentle and firm because you are growing. A child cannot remain in a small room once their body has matured. A soul cannot continue living within old limitations after I have enlarged it by my own breath. As it is written, Grow in the grace and knowledge of the Lord. 2 Peter 3:18. That growth is not always easy. At times, it appears as disruption, drawing you out of what is no longer enough for the person you are becoming. You think you are losing your sense of security, but I am redefining what security means inside you. True security is not the absence of shaking, but the place where you never move away from me. As David said, "The Lord is my refuge and my fortress." Psalm 18:2. When I am your foundation, the changes around you no longer have the power to break you, because your roots are not in people or emotions, but in me. You are beginning to no longer accept the things that once made you shrink. And you may think this is discomfort, but I tell you it is a sign of awakening. Like the blind man who receives sight in John 9. When light comes, darkness can no longer keep its former shape. When truth touches you, the things that once seemed acceptable, yet were never right, will begin to feel unbearable. This does not mean you are changing in the wrong direction. It means you are being brought back into alignment with what is true. I do not condemn you for having built your life this way. I understand that you did it in order to survive, but I will not allow you to remain there. For I did not design your life upon survival. I created it for life, and that life cannot remain confined within old structures. Therefore, listen closely. What is shaking is not meant to terrify you, but to release you. What is leaving is not forsaking you, but creating space for what I have already prepared. And what you understand as the loss of security is actually my way of bringing you into a firmness you have never experienced before. I am here, not far away, not turned from you, but present in the middle of this very process. And when every old layer falls away, you will not discover emptiness within yourself. You will discover that you have been rebuilt upon me. I speak to you in the quiet place of your soul, where the noise of what once tried to draw you backward has grown silent. You are being guided into a simple yet freeing truth. The peace you desire is never born from everything around you remaining still, but from knowing that you are in me, as it is written, "The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ." Philippians 4:7. Do you see? This is not a peace that depends on circumstances, but a protection that flows from a presence that never leaves you. You have become used to trying to grip everything around you tightly, securing it as though, with enough control, you could protect yourself from ever being wounded again. But I tell you this, you were not created to be the one who struggles to hold everything together. You were created to be held in me. As David once declared, "The Lord is my rock and my fortress." Psalm 18:2. You do not need to turn your life into a defensive structure, because I myself am your refuge. When I am your wall, you no longer need to build fragile layers of protection from fear. I do not call you into a life without storms. I call you into a life where, even in the center of every storm, you no longer lose your way. You do not need undisturbed days in order to have peace. You only need to know that I am there, right in the middle of every upheaval. Like the disciples on the Sea of Galilee when the storm rose, they panicked because all they could see were the waves. Yet I was in the boat with them. Mark 4:39. And with one word from me, the wind became silent. In the same way, my presence does not always remove the situation immediately, but it keeps your soul from being consumed by it. I see how tired you have become from trying to keep yourself safe. You have built walls from past experiences, hidden your cracks beneath silence, and tried to keep everything appearing fine so no one would see you trembling. But I tell you, the life found in me was never meant to be locked inside those walls. As it is written, "If the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed." John 8:36. I did not come so that you would keep building defenses. I came to free you from the need to constantly protect yourself. My child, I am doing a quiet, yet deeply powerful work in your life. I am changing your foundation, not through empty chaos, but through the light of truth. I do not break you down with storms, but I allow what is false within your foundation to be uncovered. As my word shines into darkness, everything unstable is revealed for what it truly is. And when you feel those tremors, you call them instability. but I call them truth, being brought into the light. Remember the story of Abraham. When I called him to leave what was familiar, I did not give him the entire map. I gave him a promise: I will make you into a great nation. Genesis 12:2. If he had held tightly to the old place, because he feared losing security, he would never have entered the greater promise. In the same way, I am leading you out of the structures you once depended on, not because they had no worth, but because they are no longer able to contain what I am doing within you. You will begin to understand that when certain things leave your life, you are not losing yourself. You are simply being separated from what once kept you bound to an older version of who you were, like a potter reshaping clay. Not to ruin it, but to form it according to the design he intended. Jeremiah 18:6. This is what I am doing within you, not tearing you down, but reshaping you. I know there are moments when you feel as though you are losing control, but I tell you, this is the moment when I am teaching you to release, not with despair, but with the awareness that you are not the one who must keep everything together. I am the one who holds. And when you stop striving to carry everything by your own strength, you will discover a sustaining support you have never known before. You no longer need to make yourself smaller in order to fit into old patterns. You were created to grow in me, and as I enlarge you, certain old structures will no longer be able to fit. This is not loss. It is maturity. As Paul said, when I was a child, I spoke like a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. 1 Corinthians 13:11. You are crossing such a threshold. I am leading you out of the old house, not to leave you confused, but to bring you into the place where you truly belong. And that place is not built on fear, not upheld by control, and not sustained by strain. It is built upon me, a foundation no storm can shake. Therefore, let your heart rest in this truth. What is changing is not a sign that you are being abandoned, but a sign that you are being positioned rightly. I have not stepped away from you. I am drawing you deeper into myself. And as you keep moving forward, you will no longer search for peace in circumstances that remain still, but in the certainty that I am there, unchanging, unwavering, never releasing you for even a moment. I speak to you with the tenderness of one who understands every hidden movement of your heart, even in places no one else can reach. When I begin to alter the foundation of your life, I do not do it by force, nor by demanding that you immediately let go of everything. I work in a deeper, quieter, and more lasting way. I transform the very substance within you, the place where every reaction, every decision, and every fear is formed. You have believed that change comes through major decisions, but I tell you this true transformation begins in the unseen places. As it is written, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. Ezekiel 36:26. Do you understand? I do not begin by changing your circumstances, but by renewing what lives within. When I replace exhaustion with stillness, you no longer react as you once did. When I exchange the fear of abandonment for the assurance of being held in me, even your breath begins to shift. When I replace doubt with the gentle light of clarity, your thoughts begin to move into a new order. You may not always recognize it right away, but with every morning you awaken, something subtle will feel different. A deeper breath, a space within your heart that is no longer tightly compressed, a reaction that once rose quickly now softened into quietness. This is not coincidence, nor is it change you created by yourself. It is I, quietly replacing the material of your soul's foundation, removing the old substance of self-protection and placing within you a new substance of peace. And when the inner structure becomes steady, the outer will no longer collapse as it once did, because it is now being built on different ground. I want you to understand something even more deeply. This process is not only healing, it is a return to belonging in me. You once thought you were living in safe houses, relationships, habits, and familiar spaces. But I see clearly that many times you were only taking shelter in places that helped you forget your unrest. And so I begin to draw you back to myself, not through force, but through a quiet pull that cannot be resisted. You will recognize this through gentle signs. You find yourself more tired of conversations that once kept you occupied. Things that once attracted you now feel empty, and your heart begins to long for stillness instead of chasing its former pace. You may think you are losing interest, but I tell you, this is the sign that you are being returned to where you truly belong. As Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11:28. That weariness is not failure. It is the invitation to return. I do not draw you back in order to control you. I draw you back so that you no longer have to sustain yourself by your own strength. You have become used to bracing yourself just to maintain stability. But in me, you no longer need to strive. You only need to remain. And as you remain, I will do the rest. I am doing a deep work within your soul, reclaiming you from places where you no longer belong. This does not happen with noise or spectacle. It moves like a quiet current, yet one that is certain and unyielding. You begin to feel that you no longer fit inside old spaces, and no longer resonate with the heavy atmospheres you once endured. You may think this is inconsistency within you, but I tell you, it is the realignment of your soul. Like Abraham, when he was called to leave his homeland, he did not immediately understand every reason, yet he sensed a call deeper than all familiarity. Genesis 12:1. You too are hearing that call within your heart, not the voice of loss, but the voice of return. A return to the place where you no longer need to pretend to be strong. A return to the place where you no longer have to keep everything under control. A return to the place where you no longer have to save yourself. I know there are moments when you feel disoriented, as though everything that once anchored you is slowly slipping away. But I tell you, this is not disintegration. It is repositioning. I am moving you from a place of temporary shelter into a place of belonging. And in this process, there are things that will naturally no longer fit, not because they are wrong, but because you have changed. You are no longer the old self trying to survive within an old structure. You are becoming a new creation in me. As Paul said, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, all things have become new. 2 Corinthians 5:17. This newness is not merely a title. It is the way you breathe, the way you respond, and the way you exist. So when you feel that you are no longer the same, do not be afraid. When you discover that you no longer fit into what once defined you, do not be troubled. When you sense a desire to become still rather than continue striving, do not resist it. This is not you losing something. It is you being brought back to me. I am rebuilding you from within, layer by layer, breath by breath, and as your inner foundation becomes firm, you will no longer fear the changes around you, for you will know with certainty that I am here, and you are exactly where I am placing you. I speak to you with the gentle calm of the one who is restoring your life from within, in places unseen by human eyes. Yet as your soul is guided step by step, you will begin to understand that I am becoming your true dwelling place, not when every disturbance disappears, but when, in the middle of them, you remain steady within. Your peace will no longer arrive only after everything settles. It will move before your circumstances like light coming before the dawn. As it is written, you will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are stayed on you. Isaiah 26:3. Do you see that lasting peace does not depend on outward order, but begins in the place where you choose to rest your trust? Before, you needed the world to become quiet before your heart could be at peace. You needed every story resolved, every problem settled, and every relationship free from conflict before you could dare to breathe deeply. But I am doing something new within you. I am teaching your heart to rest even while everything remains unfinished. This is the first sign of a shift deeper than anything external. You are no longer living in reaction. You are living in presence. And when you recognize this, know that you are no longer standing inside the old house, like Paul and Silas in prison, surrounded by chains and darkness. Yet from within them rose prayer and praise. Acts 16:25. Their circumstances had not changed, but the inner place they occupied belonged to another reality. So it is with you. I am teaching you to enter a place where your circumstances no longer determine the condition of your soul. You are learning to let me become your center. After this first sign, you will begin to recognize something deeper: clarity and discernment. You will know without needing confirmation. You will understand without requiring explanation. You will sense what is right without arguing within yourself for long. This is not the natural intuition of your former self, but my light being placed within your mind. As it is written, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. When you stand upon my foundation, you no longer have to search blindly through the fog of uncertainty. You will begin to distinguish between two kinds of silence, one that comes from avoidance and one that comes from presence. In the past, you confused them, believing you had peace when, in truth, you were only avoiding what needed to be faced. But as I rebuild your foundation, the difference will become clear. One kind of silence makes you shrink, while the other opens you, and I am leading you into the second. In this process, I do not build everything within you all at once. There are days when I lay the foundation, days when I remove old layers, and days when I simply remain still, so you may learn to recognize my presence, even when nothing visible appears to move. But you must remember this: there is not one day when I step away from the work within you, just as a wise builder never abandons a house under construction. I will never abandon the soul I am restoring. There will be days when you see old things naturally fall away. Habits that once held you will begin to lose their grip. Conversations that once consumed you will no longer find room within you. You may not immediately understand the reasons, but I am clearing the ground like a farmer preparing the soil before sowing seed. I am preparing the inner field of your life so that what is new can grow. Then there will be days when you feel yourself drawn more deeply into stillness. You will no longer chase the noise of busyness as you once did. The clamor that once attracted you will lose its appeal, and silence will no longer feel threatening. This is when I am raising the first walls of your new dwelling within you, not with visible stone, but with the steadiness of your soul. Like Elijah in the cave, he did not encounter me in the wind, the earthquake, or the fire, but in a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19:12. You too are learning to recognize me in that quiet, and there will be times when you no longer want to enter battles that carry no meaning, not because you have become weaker, but because I am shifting the center within you. You no longer react from old instincts, for I am placing a new covering over your life, a covering of peace. My peace I give to you, not as the world gives. John 14:27. This peace does not avoid trials. It rises above them. When you begin to feel a quiet warmth surrounding your heart in moments that once felt empty, this is the clearest sign that the new dwelling is nearing completion, not because everything is finished, but because I am drawing near within every part of you that is being rebuilt. You will come to understand that I am not only the builder, I am the foundation, the walls, the covering, and the very breath inside that dwelling. And then you will understand, in a deep and unshakable way, that you are no longer someone searching for a place to belong. You have become one who dwells in me, no longer temporary shelter, no longer patchwork, no longer dependence on what is fragile. You are living within a reality that I myself sustain, and nothing outside can shake what I am establishing within you. I speak to you with the weight of a decree that no longer belongs to the past, but to what I am unfolding within your soul right now. You were not created to wander through temporary places, nor formed to come into my presence only when exhaustion overtakes you. I did not make you a stranger within your own life. I formed you to dwell, to belong, and to breathe within my presence. Just as breath cannot be separated from life itself, you will know that you have entered my true dwelling, not through outward signs, but through a deep shift in the way you live and exist. When you no longer need to prove yourself in order to be acknowledged, when you no longer make yourself smaller in order to be accepted, when you no longer enlarge your worth just to be noticed, then you will know that you are standing upon what is real, as it is written, "If anyone is in Christ, He is a new creation. The old has passed away. 2 Corinthians 5:17. You no longer live like one struggling to exist, but like one already established within a reality prepared in me. I do not build this house for you as a temporary shelter in the middle of life's disturbances. I build it as a living dwelling, a place where you move, grow, perceive, and rediscover yourself in my light. You will realize that you are no longer ruled by outside judgments or pulled by voices that once shaped your identity. For inside my dwelling, you do not need to become someone else in order to remain. And now I declare something with establishing power over your soul. A decree not only to be heard, but to be written deep within your being. You are being brought into a new dwelling, not through your own effort, but through my leading, not as a surface-level transition, but as a true relocation of your soul from an old foundation into the one I have prepared, just as Abraham was called out of what was familiar and into the realm of promise. Genesis 12:1. So you are being guided out of what is temporary and into what belongs to your destiny. You are no longer building your life upon the fear of rejection. You are no longer forming connections from the need to be temporarily filled. You are no longer constructing fortresses of defense shaped by wounded memories. I am leading you out of all those structures, not to leave you empty, but to place you upon the foundation I myself have established. That foundation does not move with emotion, does not crack under circumstance, and does not collapse beneath human reaction. As it is written, "The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer." Psalm 18:2. You no longer need to build walls to protect yourself, for I am the living fortress surrounding you. You no longer need to create coverings to shield yourself from fear, for I am the covering no storm can break through. You no longer need to shrink yourself to fit old molds, for I am expanding you according to the measure of life I have ordained. I know you have lived like one who had to hold your breath just to feel safe, staying silent to avoid conflict, keeping distance to avoid pain, making yourself small so you would not be broken again. But I tell you, this is not the life I intended for you. True security does not come from controlling everything around you, but from knowing that I am there, never leaving you. From this moment, you begin to live from the inside out, no longer reversing the order as you once did. You no longer struggle to fix your circumstances in the hope that your heart will finally find peace. Instead, I am placing peace within you first, so that from that place, every circumstance may return to its proper order. As it is written, "Be still and know that I am God." Psalm 46:10. That stillness is not avoidance. It is the restoration of order within your soul. You will discover that in this new dwelling, you no longer need to strain to protect your worth. You do not need to magnify what is small, nor reduce what is great. You only need to be present, and your presence in me is already enough. This is the deepest sign that you have returned to where you belong. You no longer need to fight to be accepted, for you are already held within my eternal acceptance. I do not bring you into this house so you can stand outside and look in, but so you can live within it, not to visit only when you are weak, but to remain through every season of your life, not as a passing refuge, but as a permanent reality where you dwell and move. And as you walk within this dwelling, you will begin to understand something profound. You no longer seek me as a destination, for I have become the very atmosphere in which you live. There is no longer distance, no longer near or far, no longer belonging in one moment and not another. There is only presence, steady, deep, and unshakable. You have been established in me, and from this place, every step you take will no longer be a journey searching for home, but a life lived from within the home I prepared for you long before you knew you needed it. I speak to you with the firmness of one who is restoring order within your soul, where everything fragile is being replaced by what cannot be shaken. You must understand this clearly. Inner elevation is not a sudden awakening, nor a single instant when you realize you have changed, but a new realm of life into which I am guiding you step by step. As it is written, walk worthy of the calling you have received. Ephesians 4:1. That walk is quiet, yet it reshapes the whole landscape of your inner life. As I raise your inner being, you will not discover yourself becoming greater, according to the world's definition, but deeper, broader, and more firmly rooted within yourself. A new kind of freedom will begin to take shape inside you. It does not come from circumstances, from people, or from achievements, but from my presence covering your life. This is a freedom that money cannot purchase, success cannot create, and recognition cannot give. As it is written, if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. John 8:36. This freedom is not only the absence of outward chains, but the release from everything that once held you captive within. You will begin to feel a clear expansion in your heart. Spaces once restricted by anxiety, reaction, and fear will now open, allowing you to breathe. Old triggers will no longer make you shrink as they once did, not because they have completely disappeared, but because the foundation inside you has changed. I am transforming the resilience of your soul, not to make you hard, but to free you from being ruled by past wounds. You will find yourself speaking less, yet your words will carry more weight. Your responses will become slower, not because you are disconnected, but because you are learning to discern before reacting. You will no longer love blindly, but with clarity, knowing what to hold, what to release, what comes from me, and what is only noise. This is the sign of an inner life being brought into order. In your daily life, you will notice very real shifts. Conversations that once unsettled your emotions will no longer control you. Words that once wounded you deeply will now pass like waves that cannot pull you under. Situations that once created panic will instead lead you to pause, breathe deeply, and remain steady. As it is written, the Lord gives strength to his people. The Lord blesses his people with peace. Psalm 29:11. This peace does not come only after the storm has ended. It stands within the storm itself. You will begin to see the relationships around you more clearly, not with judgment, but with inner clarity. You will recognize what nourishes you and what drains you, what carries life, and what simply repeats old patterns. And you will no longer feel confused as you once did, because the light within you has become enough to discern. You may wonder why this change is taking place. I tell you, it is because the atmosphere within your inner dwelling has shifted. Just as a house set upon a new foundation causes everything inside it to respond differently, so it is with you. What is incompatible will naturally fall away without force. What once easily stirred your emotions will no longer find a place to attach itself. This is not you becoming rigid. It is you being properly established in me. And now I desire to teach you how to live steadily within this space. For even a house built by me requires that you learn how to dwell in it rightly. First, you must learn to return inward before making any decision. This is not delay. It is alignment. You will still live amid the noise of the world. Yet within you, there is a place where I dwell. An inner chamber I have formed where you can meet truth again. As it is written, be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Each time you enter that stillness, you will begin to recognize this. My voice becomes clearer than your emotions. My guidance becomes more distinct than your natural reactions. And truth becomes deeper than passing feelings. In practical ways, this will become very real. You will no longer answer immediately in anger. You will no longer react from wounded places when your past is touched. And you will no longer rush when a door closes. You will pause. You will turn inward. You will breathe. And in that space of stillness, you will hear something deeper than every outer sound. I am here. From that point, your choices will no longer be reflexive, but guided, no longer defensive, but discerning, no longer driven by panic, but grounded in the stability that comes from me. You are learning a new way to live, not from reaction, but from presence, not to avoid pain, but to live from a place where pain no longer rules you. And as you move deeper into this space, you will realize that I am not only changing your circumstances, I am changing the way you exist within every circumstance. This is what inner elevation truly means. It is a repositioning no one can take from you, because it does not rest in the hands of others, but in me, the one who holds you in unshakable steadiness. I speak to you with the stability of the one who is rebuilding the foundation of your life upon an order no longer rooted in illusion, but in truth that cannot be shaken. The second strategy I place within you to sustain your inner dwelling is this: every true foundation can stand only when it is built upon truth, not upon fragile assumptions you once used to comfort yourself. As it is written, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. Truth is not always comfortable, but it is always liberating. You once lived inside structures built upon expectations, the expectation that others would change, that circumstances would improve by themselves, and that pain would fade if you were patient enough. But I tell you, these are not foundations. They are mental constructions seeking to avoid confrontation, and anything built upon illusion will tremble when reality touches it. Your new dwelling cannot be established upon what is false. It can only remain standing when you are willing to rest upon what is true, even when that truth invites you to look deeply within yourself. I am teaching you another kind of courage, the courage that comes from truth. When you dare to face your emotions instead of running from them, you do not become weaker, you are being released. When you dare to admit that certain relationships no longer align with the path I have placed before you, you do not become cold, you become clear. When you dare to acknowledge your limits without judging yourself, you do not lose your value. You step into genuine maturity in your daily life. You will begin to understand that you no longer need to flee from your emotions as you once did. The Spirit of God searches all things, even the deep things of God. 1 Corinthians 2:10. My presence does not avoid the truth within you. I shine light upon it so that you are no longer led by what is distorted. And when my light reaches those places that were once concealed, you will see that you are not being exposed, but restored. You will find yourself no longer needing to escape what you feel, no longer hiding it beneath busyness, silence, or avoidance, but instead facing it, not so it may consume you, but so you may understand it. You will no longer feel forced to maintain the appearance of being fine before others. You will begin to live honestly in my presence, and that very honesty will make you more secure than any defensive layer you once depended on. And as you live within that truth, you will come to understand something profound. Your strength does not come from needing to appear strong, but from being in me. Strength will no longer be a burden you must carry, but the natural fruit of no longer living in pretense. As Paul said, when I am weak, then I am strong. 2 Corinthians 12:10. True strength does not come from denying weakness, but from no longer being afraid to face it in my light. The next principle I teach you goes even deeper, learning not to leave my dwelling, whatever season your life may enter. You must understand that the house I am building within you is not designed to stand only when conditions are favorable. It is designed to remain firm in every season. There will be days when you feel as though you are soaring, with everything opening and every step flowing easily. And there will be days when you feel heavy, tested, and stretched by what you do not understand. But I am forming within you a new constancy, one that does not define your soul by the season you are in. You do not return to me only when things are good, nor do you walk away from me when things become difficult. You remain in me as a fixed dwelling, not as a changing emotional state. As it is written, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13:5. And I am teaching you to live this truth in return. You do not leave me, no matter what comes. When you rejoice, you do not drift from the foundation. When you grieve, you do not fall away from it. When you succeed, you do not forget it. When you are disappointed, you do not return to the old foundations of self-protection and control. You simply return to me, the unchanging point in the middle of every movement in your life. I am forming within you a kind of stability the world cannot teach, a stability that does not come from keeping everything still, but from knowing where you belong. As David said, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4. It is not the circumstance that changes, but the place where your heart is anchored that remains unshaken. You will come to see that when you no longer return to old habits in search of false safety, you are not losing your anchor. You are being repositioned. Old reactions, former shelters, and familiar defenses all begin to lose their pull, not because you force them to disappear, but because I am changing the place from which you draw life. And in all of this, I want you to remember that your new dwelling does not stand because you hold it together, but because I hold you within it. You are not responsible for maintaining that stability by your own strength. You only need to remain in me, and I will sustain every part. Therefore, walk in truth, not in illusion. Stand in me, not in the shifting of seasons. Remain in my dwelling, not as a visitor passing through, but as one who has been established, and you will see that nothing in your life can shake the foundation I am laying within you. I speak to you with both gentleness and certainty, as the one placing upon your life a foundation not only for you, but also for those who will be touched through you as you enter my presence. You are no longer being formed merely to stand firm for yourself, but to become a living space of peace that I am establishing. As it is written, you are the light of the world. Matthew 5:14. Light is never created to be hidden. It naturally reaches outward. In the days ahead, you will perceive, not through outward noise, but through the deep stillness within your soul, that your presence begins to carry a different kind of quiet, not an empty silence, not the stillness of avoidance, but a silence with weight, like a space touched by me and filled with my peace. As it is written, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ. Philippians 4:7. Do you see that this guarding does not only surround you, it flows from you, not because you create it, but because you are dwelling where I abide within you. There will be a stillness that does not require effort, explanation, or proof. It is a kind of stillness that others enter and immediately feel they no longer have to protect themselves. Those who come close to you will not only listen to your words, they will sense what stands behind them, a space that does not hurry to judge, does not reject them, and does not make them feel smaller. I am doing this not to raise you up as a symbol, but to make your life a living witness of my presence. As it is written, you are the light of the world. Matthew 5:14. Light does not restrain itself. It naturally shines outward, and the peace I place within you will do the same. It will not stay confined inside you, but will move through you toward those around you who are weary. You will begin to understand that in a world constantly shifting, reacting, rushing, and searching for something stable, your life becomes a place of calm, not because you control everything, but because nothing controls you anymore, and this very reality will draw others toward you. They will come not because you know every answer, nor because you are more perfect than they are, but because within you there is something they need, a space without judgment. They will sense that when they are near you, they will not need to wear masks, prove their value, or make themselves smaller in order to be accepted. And this is the evidence of my presence working within you. Just as Jesus sat among those rejected by society, tax collectors, sinners, and those considered unworthy, he did not push them away or reduce their value, but created a space where they could rediscover who they truly were. Luke 5:29-32. You are being carried into that same current, not to become one who judges, but to become a place where others encounter life. You will see that those who come close to you may not always be able to explain why they are drawn, but deep inside, they are searching for a place where their soul is not measured, compared, or rejected, and I am using your very presence as a doorway into that space. But you must understand this clearly. What they sense within you is not you. It is me within you. You are not the source. You are the vessel through which the flow moves. And because of this, you do not need to struggle to become something for them. You only need to remain in me. I am teaching you something deeper than words. Presence is stronger than explanation. You do not need to speak endlessly in order to bring peace. The steadiness within you is already speaking. You do not need to try to heal anyone. I will use your presence to touch them in ways words cannot reach. And when this begins to happen, you will understand that I am not only healing you, I am making your life a refuge for other weary souls, not because you are carrying them, but because my peace is flowing outward from you. As it is written, let your light shine before others. Matthew 5:16. That light is not meant to display you, but so others may see me through you. You will not need to strive to create influence. You only need to remain in me, and influence will form naturally. You will not need to force yourself to become a safe place for others. I will make you that place as you abide in me. And the deepest realization you will come to is this: the moment you stop striving to become that, you become it naturally, for it is no longer your effort. It is my work within you. Therefore, rest in this truth. You are not only being built, you are being used, not only to stand firmly, but to carry that steadiness to others, and not by your own strength, but by my presence breathing within you each day. This is not your own construction. It is the result of my dwelling within you. As it is written, God is within her. She will not fall. Psalm 46:5. When I dwell in you, your life itself becomes a refuge through which I reach the weary and the searching. You will no longer be only one who stands firm for your own sake. You will become a living sign that a true place of safety exists in me, and this does not come from your perfection, nor from the absence of weakness, but from the fact that you have passed through places of breaking and still remained upheld by my hand. It is that very journey that makes your presence genuine, unforced, unconstructed, and free from pretense. There will be people who draw near to you and will not need long explanations. They will simply need to be within the space you carry. They will begin to feel lighter without knowing why. They will begin to breathe more deeply without understanding the reason. And in those moments, I am using your life as a living testimony that I truly am a refuge for the human soul. You will be able to say to them with simple truth, I too once feared that I would collapse. I too once did not know what to hold on to. But I was brought into a place where I no longer had to hold myself together. And that truth will carry more power than persuasion ever could. But you must understand this deeply. The light I have placed within you was never meant to be kept only for yourself, like a city set upon a hill that cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. So your life was never meant to remain closed within itself. When I heal you, I also open you. When I rebuild you, I also make you into a place where others may find direction. I am placing you into a role not so you may carry burdens in your own strength, but so you may radiate life. And that radiance does not come from striving, but from presence. You do not need to try to become a source of peace. You only need to remain in me, and peace will naturally flow through you to those around you. And now I declare something as a marker that closes the former season and opens a new reality within you. The old house has reached the end of its time, not because it had no meaning in the past, but because it can no longer contain who you are now. The structures of fear, the habits of avoidance, and the foundations of self-defense have all played their part in shaping who you have become. And now I am leading you out of them. I will no longer allow you to live in a temporary condition of the soul. I am bringing you into the place where you truly belong. As it is written, I will lead you into a good land. Jeremiah 29:11. According to the principle of promise, no more repeating old cycles, no more returning to former places, no more rebuilding old houses. You have been repositioned. You have been reset. You have been established within a new realm of my presence. And within that realm, you no longer live only to survive, but to reflect me. Walk with this awareness. You are not only being kept, you are also being sent. You are not only being comforted, you are also being made into a place of comfort. You are not only being rebuilt, you are also being used to touch others through the very life I have placed within you. My peace is covering you, not as a passing feeling, but as an unshakable foundation. My presence is holding you not only so that you may stand firm, but so that you may become a sign that I am truly present in the middle of human life. And from this point forward, You will no longer merely exist in this life as one who has been rescued. You will live as one who abides in me. And through you, many others will begin to find their way home. I speak to you in the continuous flow of my presence that now covers your life, where every word I have spoken does not remain only a declaration, but becomes a living experience in every breath of your soul. And now, as you have been placed into my new space, I invite you to respond, not through empty ritual, but through the very life that has been touched by grace. Now I open my heart fully before you and lift up a prayer from the deepest place within my soul, where there are no more coverings, no more fear, no more defenses, but only truth breathing with you. Almighty God, you formed me not to live within the temporary structures of old foundations, but to walk in the lasting stability of your presence. I bow before you with the awareness that everything I once relied on apart from you was only a shadow of true security. I place before you every place I have clung to, every false support I trusted, every relationship and habit I believed could keep me steady, yet in truth only confined me within my own limits. Forgive me for the times I chose what was familiar over what was true, for choosing a fragile peace over your leading. Lord, I bring before you the parts of me that still tremble when change comes near, the parts that long to return to the old house of fear, the parts that still try to control everything in order to avoid pain. Place your peace within those places, not as something outside of me, but as a transformation at the deepest level of my being. Teach me to remain in you even when everything around me is shifting, for I now understand that your presence is the only place where I truly belong. Heavenly Father, teach me to live no longer according to my own assumptions, but according to the truth you reveal. Open my eyes so that I no longer mistake passing emotions for eternal guidance. Give me discernment to know what to hold and what to release, what comes from you and what is only the echo of my past. I no longer desire to walk in uncertainty. I long to walk in your light, where I do not have to feel my way forward in darkness. Lord, keep me within your dwelling, not as a place I visit in moments of weakness, but as the place where I remain through every season of life, in joy and in sorrow, in ease and in trial. Anchor my heart so that it does not depart from your presence. Teach me not to return to old habits of self-protection, nor to old reactions of fear, but to always return to you as the one unchanging foundation. And now, within your presence, I lift thanksgiving from the depths of my soul. I thank you for not leaving me inside the decaying foundations I once built, but for patiently leading me out of them step by step, even when I did not understand. I thank you that when I believed I was losing everything, you were truly transforming what was within me, so that I would no longer be bound by what was old. I thank you, Lord, for the times when you did not immediately change my circumstances, but instead changed my heart first so I could stand firm in the midst of them. I thank you for the peace you have placed within me, a peace that does not depend on outward calm, but remains steady even in upheaval. I thank you for not allowing me to continue living as a stranger within my own life, but for leading me into a true dwelling where I no longer have to pretend to be strong in order to survive. And once again, I give you thanks that in this process of restoration, you have not destroyed me, but have quietly transformed me from within. I thank you that everything old that has fallen away has not left me vacant, but has prepared me for what you are now placing within me. I thank you that even the shaking was not abandonment, but a sign that your hand was reaching deeply into the foundation of my soul. Lord, I surrender my entire future into your hands, not as something I must control, but as a journey where I am guided by you. Keep me rooted in your steadfastness, so that I am no longer swept away by outward changes, but remain grounded in your unchanging presence. Let my life become a reflection of the peace you have given, so that anyone who comes near may sense that you are truly here. And finally, I choose to live each day with the awareness that I am no longer someone searching for a home, for you yourself have become my dwelling, not a place I occasionally visit, not a shelter I depend on for a short time, but the place where I live, where I move, and where I eternally belong in every step. Keep me from drifting away from that presence, So, my life does not merely exist, but truly lives in you. Thank you for listening to this message. Know this, you are not merely a spectator. You are chosen to live each day within the presence of the Word of God. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you do not miss any spiritual message. Amen. My beloved child, I see a quiet yet powerful stream of life flowing into every corner of your soul. You do not need to strain to understand it, nor do you need to search for it with your mind. You only need to open your heart like dry ground receiving the rain, and the truth will gently yet surely sink into you. I am not standing far away to observe you, nor am I speaking from a place beyond your reach. I am very near, closer than your own breath, and my love for you is not an idea, but a living reality surrounding you in every moment, even when you feel lost in a swirl of restless thoughts. I have never taken my eyes from you. You may have wondered whether you have been forgotten in the vast current of life, but I tell you plainly, not one moment of your existence is hidden from me. As it is written, I have called you by name. You are mine. Isaiah 43:1. This word is not for someone far away. It is being spoken directly over your life. You are not a nameless soul drifting without direction, but one who is known, called by name, and held securely in my unchanging love. There are times when you think you must accomplish something great to be worthy of that love. Yet you do not understand that my love is not founded on your performance. It does not grow when you succeed, nor does it lessen when you stumble. It exists as part of who I am, unchanging, unconditional, and without limit. When you are weary, I do not turn away. When you doubt, I do not withdraw. When you are weak, I do not reject you. On the contrary, it is in those very moments that I draw even nearer to you. As it is written, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. Remember the story of Hagar, the servant woman who fled into the wilderness in pain and despair. No one searched for her. No one spoke on her behalf, and she believed she had been completely forgotten. Yet in that desolate place, I appeared to her, called her by name, and revealed that I had seen all her suffering. She called me the God who sees me. Genesis 16:13. Do you see, even in the place where you feel most abandoned, I am still present, not simply to watch, but to reach you, lift you, and lead you out of the loneliness you thought was your destiny. Therefore, my beloved, do not allow passing emotions to define your worth. Do not let dark days make you doubt the light that still remains. Light does not disappear simply because you cannot see it. It remains, waiting for you to turn and recognize it. And I am that light. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. John 8:12. As you draw near to me, you do not need to strive to become light. You simply begin to reflect what has always existed in me. You do not need to run around seeking validation from the world, because what you truly need has already been established in me. I do not speak these words so you may hear them and then forget, but so you may begin to live in the truth that you are fully loved. When you understand this, you will no longer strive to prove your worth, because that worth was determined long before you ever did anything to earn it. Let your heart become tender before me, for within that tenderness, you will discern my guidance. I do not force you to move, nor do I push you into places for which you are not yet ready. I lead you with a gentleness that can only be perceived by those who truly listen. And as you begin to trust, you will see that each step you take is no longer a blind search through darkness, but a journey illuminated from within. You may not yet see the whole path ahead, but you do not need to see everything in order to move forward. What you need is not control, but trust. As it is written, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. When you let go of the need to understand everything, you will begin to receive the peace I am placing within you. And within that peace, you will discover something profound. You have never truly been alone. Even when no one stands beside you, I am there. Even when no one understands you, I understand. Even when you do not know where to go, I know. My love is not a distant promise, but a living presence that surrounds you each day. Let these words settle deeply within you, like water sinking into the soil. Do not rush. Do not doubt. And do not close your heart. You do not need to become someone different in order to be loved. You are already loved as you are. And from that love, I will transform you, not through pressure, but through the gentle and constant touch of grace. Remain in this truth: you are seen, you are known, and you are loved with a love that will never run dry. As you begin to live from that place, you will no longer fear what is ahead, for you will know that wherever you go, I have already gone before you. My beloved child, turn the ear of your heart toward me, for what I reveal does not arrive with the thunder of storms, but rests gently like morning mist upon the fields at dawn. My presence does not need display in order to prove its power. Even the softest touch from me is enough to dissolve the layers of sorrow you have quietly carried. I do not come to make you tremble, but to end your trembling, not to add more burdens upon you, but to lift from your shoulders what you have carried for far too long. When every other voice leaves you disturbed, my voice remains calm and clear, never struggling to compete, yet never fading away. You may have become used to the loud and overwhelming sounds of the world, assuming that anything truly powerful must come with great intensity and spectacle. Yet I teach you a deeper mystery. True power does not need to be loud. When I came to Elijah in the cave, I was not in the windstorm, nor in the earthquake, nor in the fire, but in a still small voice. 1 Kings 19:12. That I revealed myself. Do you see? I choose to come near to you with gentleness, because your heart does not need more pressure. It needs to be held, and within that very quietness, I am speaking this truth to you. You have never been alone on this journey. When the night seems to stretch longer than you expected and silent thoughts begin to question your worth, I remain the light that never fades. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. That light does not blind you, but it is enough for every step you take in safety. I do not give you the entire map of your life all at once. Instead, I guide you day by day, and even in the moments when you feel you must figure everything out alone, it is I who am quietly holding your hand. I knew you before you ever knew yourself. Before your first cry echoed into this world, I had already seen your form in the deepest hidden place. As it is written, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book. Psalm 139:16. You are not the result of chance, nor are you an idea formed too late. You were thought of, planned, and loved long before you could understand what love truly is. There are dreams you have never spoken aloud, desires you have hidden in the deepest corners of your heart, and fears you do not even know how to name. Yet nothing within you is strange to me. Every passing thought, every whispered prayer in the night, every tear you quickly wiped away so no one would see it, all stand before me as clearly as stars in the night sky. I do not search you in order to condemn you. I behold you in order to preserve you, for my love is not cold surveillance, but tender and watchful care. Remember Nathanael, who once sat beneath the fig tree, believing no one noticed him. When he encountered me, he was amazed that I said, before Philip called you, I saw you. John 1:48. What moved him was not a grand miracle, but the truth that I had seen him in his most private moment. So it is with you. Before you call, I already know. Before you doubt, I already understand. Before you question whether your life has meaning, I have already established your worth within my own heart. Therefore, do not believe that you must draw attention to yourself in order to receive my care. I do not love you because you stand out. I love you because you belong to me. Even when the world turns its back on you, I still turn my face toward you. Even when you feel lost in the crowd, I still call you by name. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore, I have drawn you with loving kindness. Jeremiah 31:3. That love does not change with your emotions, nor is it shaken by your circumstances. And when you begin to understand that you are so fully known, You will no longer fear being misunderstood to the point of despair. For even if others misread you, I read you rightly. Even if others fail to see your heart, I see it. Even if you have not yet recognized your own potential, I have seen it for a long time. What I have begun in you is not a temporary work. It is an eternal purpose. So, my beloved, let your heart rest in this truth. I know you more deeply than you know yourself, and I still choose to love you. I do not come to judge every thought, but to transform each one through my presence. I do not stand far away watching you grow. I remain beside you, guiding you into maturity. And amid all the noise of life, remember that my voice, though gentle, is strong enough to lead you through every season, because it flows from a love that never runs dry, my beloved child. There are seasons when you walk as though your feet are touching the edge of an unseen abyss, your heart burdened by the feeling that no one truly understands what you carry. You retreat into yourself through long nights, when the darkness seems not only to surround you outwardly, but to sink into you inwardly. Yet even in those moments when you believe you have fallen into the deepest place of loneliness, I am still present, not far away watching, but very near, holding you. I do not wait for you to become strong before I come near. Rather, it is in your most delicate moments that I am closer than ever. The tears you have tried to conceal have not fallen into an empty void. You have kept count of my wanderings. Put my tears in your bottle. Psalm 56:8. Do you see your tears are not forgotten upon the cold ground? They are preserved by me like precious jewels. I do not treat your pain lightly, nor do I consider your sleepless nights unimportant. Every time you tremble in fear, every moment you sit silently, because words have failed you, I have been there, quietly yet faithfully placing my hand upon you. You may not realize that many times when you thought you had risen by yourself, it was I who raised you. When you believed you had no strength left to continue, yet somehow made it through another day. That was not coincidence. It was my breath sustaining you. When the ashes of failure settled upon your dreams and you believed everything had ended, I breathed into them a fresh spark of hope. As it is written, He gives them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning. Isaiah 61:3. I do not only comfort you among the ruins, I transform those very ruins into the foundation of something new. Remember Jeremiah, who once grieved that he had been born only to experience hardship and rejection. There were moments when he wanted to stay silent and speak no more, because the burden within him felt too heavy. Yet in the middle of that despair, I placed within him a fire that could not be put out. He said that my word was like a fire shut up in his bones. Jeremiah 29. So it is with you. Though you may have felt shattered, there is still something within you that I have placed there. A flame that darkness cannot consume. You may see yourself as weak, but I see in you a life that has not gone out. There are days when you wonder whether your existence has any meaning at all. You look in the mirror and see only cracks, flaws, and unmet expectations. But when I look at you, I see my own image reflected. So God created mankind in His own image. Genesis 1:27. You are not a random fragment of creation. You are a work I have carefully shaped. Even if you cannot feel your worth, that does not mean it has disappeared. A jewel covered in dust remains precious. Its brilliance does not depend on the eyes that look upon it. Even when you turn away from yourself, when you doubt and accuse your own heart, I have never turned away from you. When you no longer believe you are worthy, I still call you mine. Not because you are perfect, but because you belong to me. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Jeremiah 31:3. That love does not rise and fall with your emotions. It does not become smaller when you fail, nor greater when you succeed. It remains steady, just as I am. You think you are broken, but I see you being formed. You think you are lost, but I see you being guided through a valley where you are learning to recognize my voice more clearly. You think you are weak, but I see within you a tenderness able to carry deep compassion. My power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. It is in the very places where you feel most fragile that I place my strength. Therefore, My beloved, do not be quick to define yourself while the storm has not yet passed. Do not name yourself by your darkest moments. What you are going through is not your final identity. I, the one who created the stars and placed them in their courses, I am not ashamed to call you my child. I do not hesitate to stand with you. I do not hold back from surrounding you with my love. Let this truth settle deeply within you. You have not been abandoned in the depths of isolation. You have not been forgotten in the long night. I was there. I am there. And I will always be there. When you can no longer see your own worth, I still see an unfinished masterpiece. When you think you are nothing but ashes, I see a seed waiting to rise. And in every season, whether you recognize it or not, I am still holding your hand, never letting go, never withdrawing, never changing, my beloved child. I see the weariness entering your thoughts like a heavy mist covering a morning that has not yet met the sun. I know what you have been carrying in silence: responsibilities, expectations, unnamed anxieties, and I do not treat them lightly. But there are burdens that were never meant for your shoulders. There are pressures you have taken on because you believed you had to be strong, had to be perfect, had to manage everything alone. I tell you today, release them, not because you are weak, but because you were created to live in dependence, not exhaustion. I never intended for you to become a wall holding up the world. I am your fortress. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Psalm 46:1. When you feel as though you are about to collapse, I do not stand far away. I am the foundation beneath your feet. When you no longer have strength to fight, I am the one who stands on your behalf. You do not need to face every conflict by your own ability, for there are battles that belong to me. As I once spoke to my people, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. That stillness is not surrendering to defeat, but surrendering through trust. There are chapters you once believed were permanently closed. Doors that shut before you made you feel as though all hope had vanished. But I am not limited by the finality you perceive, what you call an ending. I can transform into a beginning. Just as when I stood before the tomb of Lazarus, where everyone believed it was already too late, I spoke one word, and life returned. John 11:43-44. Do you see, I do not come only when circumstances are favorable. I come even when everything appears beyond repair. For in me, nothing is ever truly lost. The paths you once avoided because of fear, I know them well. I know the uneasiness you feel when stepping into what is unfamiliar. But you do not walk by yourself. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4. I do not only lead you towards safe places, I walk with you through the dark ones. I do not promise to remove every trial, but I promise never to abandon you within them. And in those trembling steps, you will discover that I am closer than you ever imagined. There are dreams you have buried deeply because of disappointment. You once hoped and then failed. You once trusted and then were wounded. And little by little, you learned to stop expecting so that you would not be hurt again. But I am the one who breathes life into what appears dry and lifeless, like the valley of dry bones that Ezekiel saw, where everything seemed to be nothing but remains. I spoke, and the bones came together, were covered with flesh, and my breath brought them back to life. Ezekiel 37:5-10. You believe your dreams have died, but I see potential waiting to be restored. And hear me clearly in this. You do not need to prove your worth before me. My love is not a prize given for your achievements. I do not measure you by the world's standards of success. I do not love you because of what you accomplish, but because you belong to me. When Jesus was baptized, before he performed any miracle, a voice from heaven declared, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Matthew 3:17. That approval came before the works. So it is with you. Your worth does not begin with what you achieve, but with your relationship with me. In my eyes, you are never insignificant. Even if you see yourself as only one among many, I see within you a purpose unlike any other. I do not define you by the mistakes you have made. If I judged only by failure, I would not have called David a man after my own heart, nor would I have used Peter after he denied me 3 times. I see beyond your past. I see the seed I have placed within you, the ability to love in the middle of coldness, to bring healing into broken places, and to shine light in darkness. My beloved, do not make yourself smaller because of past failures. Do not allow the voice of shame to drown out my calling. I am not searching for flawless perfection within you. I am looking for a willing heart. And when you give me your weariness, I will give you my peace. When you surrender your fears, I will place courage within you. When you release what was never meant for you to carry, you will feel my hands lifting you up. Come to me when you are weary, as it is written, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11:28. That rest is not an escape from life, but the restoration of strength in me. You were not created to live in constant exhaustion. You were created to live beneath the covering of my love. Therefore, let me be your refuge. Let me rewrite the lines you thought were written in error. Let me breathe life into what you believed had faded away. And in every step ahead, whether you still tremble or cannot yet see the full path, remember that I walk with you, not as a distant observer, but as a father who upholds, protects, and never abandons the child he loves. My beloved child, the season has come for you to no longer remain among the shadows formed by your own fears. I did not create you to shrink back in uncertainty, nor did I plant seeds of faith within you, only for them to wither beneath the noise of circumstance. There are moments when everything around you seems to contradict what I have promised, as though opposing winds are trying to put out the flame within you. Yet I teach you this truth. My word does not waver with the changing conditions of life. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God stands forever. Isaiah 48. When you stand upon that word, you stand upon a foundation that cannot be shaken. Do not let the loudness of reality cause you to forget the steady whisper of my voice. The world may be loud, but I do not need to raise my voice in order to be heard. When Peter stepped out of the boat into the storm, that he began to sink, only when he fixed his eyes on the waves instead of on me. Matthew 14:29-30. So it is with you. When your attention is consumed by the threats before you, your heart will begin to tremble. But when you fix your gaze upon me, even if the waters remain unsettled, you will be held steady. Faith is not denying the storm. It is being certain of who stands with you in the middle of it. I am calling you to step out of the land of hesitation, where you have grown used to waiting for one more sign before daring to believe. You do not need more evidence when you already have my word. The righteous shall live by faith. Romans 1:17. To live by faith means choosing to believe, even when your emotions have not yet caught up, choosing to move forward, even when you cannot see the whole picture, and entrusting me with the authority to continue writing the story of your life. You will discover that I am not only composing gentle pages, but shaping a journey filled with power and purpose. Remember Joseph, who was sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned. If seen through natural eyes, his story seemed like a long chain of failures. Yet I was writing another chapter behind all those events. In the end, the very place where he was humbled became the place where I lifted him up to save an entire nation. Genesis 50:20. Do you see what others meant for harm? I can turn it into a means for good. Your story does not finish in the chapter you are reading now. I still have many pages yet to reveal. Therefore, my beloved, lift up your head. Do not allow the weight of your past to pull your eyes toward the ground. I do not place chains of regret upon you. I place upon you a crown of life. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life. James 1:12. That crown is not a sign of pride, but a mark of identity. You are not a wanderer lost in the wilderness of life. You are an heir of a kingdom that cannot be shaken. Hebrews 12:28. Even if the earth trembles, your foundation remains secure. Storms will not vanish simply because you believe. But I am your refuge when the winds rise. The Lord is my refuge and my fortress. Psalm 91:2. When darkness covers your sight, my light does not go out. That light may not immediately bring full daylight, but it is enough to keep you from losing your way. I do not promise you a journey without trials. I promise you a presence that never leaves. You may have believed you were too small to carry something great within you, but I do not call you as the world calls. I call you according to what I see. When Samuel looked at David's brothers and assumed they were the chosen ones, I said, people look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. I see in you what you have not yet dared to believe about yourself. I see strength within your gentleness, courage hidden beneath your trembling, and light even when you feel only darkness. So let my voice lead you. Do not let your heart be divided between eternal promises and passing voices. When you choose to trust, you are not stepping into uncertainty. You are stepping into what I have already prepared. Rise from the place of doubt. Move beyond the boundaries fear has drawn. I am opening before you a path that is not only beautiful in its outcome, but powerful in its purpose. My beloved, remember this. You do not belong to darkness. You were not created to live bowed down. You carry within you the identity of an heir, protected by me, guided by me, and loved with an unshakable love. And as you walk in that truth, you will not merely exist, you will shine, because my light within you never fades. My beloved child, do not close your heart to what I am placing in your hands. There are blessings knocking at the door of your life that you hesitate to receive because you believe you are not good enough, not worthy enough. But I tell you today, those blessings are not given because you are perfect. They are given because I love you. My love does not follow the world's system of reward and punishment. It flows from who I am. And when I give, I do not require you to prove anything first. Each morning I open before your eyes is not merely a continuation of yesterday, but a new opportunity placed into your hands. His mercies are new every morning. Lamentations 3:23. You are not bound to what is past. Your mistakes do not have the authority to decide your future. What you have not yet accomplished is not a sentence over your life. I am the one who gives you a new beginning, not in isolation, but within my embrace. When you step into a new day, I am already there waiting for you, not with accusation, but with open arms. Let my love shape you. Do not fear when I touch the places that still ache, for I do not touch them to wound you further, but to heal you, like a potter who is patient with the clay. I do not quickly discard you when I see a crack. I reshape, refine, and continue forming until what I intended is revealed. Jeremiah 18:6. You are not a flawed product. You are a work in progress. And within that process, I am preparing you for things far greater than anything you have imagined yourself reaching. You may have limited your dreams because you feared failing once again. But I do not limit what I can do through you, for I know the plans I have for you. Plans for peace and not for harm, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29:11. You were not created merely to endure each day. You are sent. You are called to step into places where my light is meant to shine through you. When my love touches you, it does not stop at comforting you. It transforms you into someone who carries hope to others. And hear me clearly in this, I do not change. The world shifts, hearts waver, and circumstances rise and fall. But I remain who I am. I, the Lord, do not change. Malachi 3:6. Therefore, the promises I have given you do not wear out with time. When I call you mine, it is not a temporary statement. When I commit to love you, it is not a passing emotion. It is a covenant, established deeper than every change. Remember Peter, after he denied me, he thought he had lost everything, that his future had closed because of his failure. Yet I did not remove my calling from his life. I found him by the shore, prepared a meal for him, and restored his mission. John 21:15-17. Do you see, failure does not have the final word. I have the final word, and that word is always filled with hope. Therefore, my beloved, live in the truth that you belong to me. Do not only hear it as a beautiful idea, but let it become the foundation of every thought you carry. When you know that you are eternally loved, you will no longer fear abandonment. When you truly believe that you belong to me, you will no longer look elsewhere for your identity. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Romans 8:35. No circumstance, no failure, and no power can ever separate you from my love. Let this truth become like breath within you. When you wake, remember that you are loved. When you stumble, remember that you are held. When you succeed, remember the source of every blessing. And when you step into the greater things I set before you, do not move forward in fear, but with the certainty that I am going with you. You are mine, not for a moment, but forever. My love does not fade with time, nor does it withdraw because of your weakness. It remains firm, surrounds you, and guides you. Live in that truth as the brightest light of your life, for it is not merely comfort, it is a reality that will never pass away. My beloved child, let your soul become still before my presence, like a calm lake after the wind has ceased. Do not allow layers of anxious thoughts to wrap around you so tightly that you forget there is one who holds the whole picture while you see only a small part. You were not created to carry what is beyond your reach. When your mind runs toward uncertain futures, when your heart becomes unsettled by possibilities you cannot control, I invite you to return to the quiet place within me. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. That stillness is not an escape from reality, but the placing of reality under my sovereign authority. I am not limited by the boundaries that trouble you. Time does not hurry me. Circumstances do not confuse me. And what seems like delay to you is not failure within my plan. What you call delay is often preparation. What you perceive as silence is often the moment when I am arranging what you cannot yet see. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. 2 Peter 3:8. You measure by the clock, I move according to fullness. Not one beat in my design is out of place. Not one note in the symphony of your life is out of tune. I know you have been waiting. I have seen the moments when you whispered your prayers and then opened your eyes, only to find that what you longed for had not yet appeared. I have heard the knocking of your heart as you searched for opportunity, answers, or a confirming sign. At times, deep within, you have wondered whether you have been forgotten in the crowded flow of life. But my child, I never forget what I have begun in you. As I spoke through the prophet Habakkuk, though the vision lingers, wait for it. It will surely come and will not delay. Habakkuk 2:3. What looks like delay to you is not denial from me. Remember Daniel, who fasted and prayed for many days without seeing an answer. He did not know that from the very first day he humbled himself in prayer, his words had already been heard, and the answer had already been sent, though it had to pass through unseen resistance. Daniel 10:12. Do you see there are movements taking place beyond your sight? There are doors I am opening in places your feet have not yet reached. Silence does not mean I am indifferent. Often, it is the sign that I am working at a deeper level. Not one prayer of yours dissolves into emptiness. Not one sigh falls without reaching me. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. I do not only hear with ears, I perceive with my heart. When you grow tired from waiting, I do not accuse you of weak faith. I understand the longing within you, because it was I who placed that hope there. You may have knocked on a door that remains closed. But my child, not every closed door is a loss. There are paths that, if opened too early, would bring you harm. There are things that, if given before their appointed time, would cause you to fall. I am a father who not only gives what is good, but also protects you from what is not yet right. When I close away, it is not because I lack power, but because I see farther than you do, and when I open, no one can shut it. Revelation 3:7. Therefore, instead of allowing your heart to be torn apart by doubt, place it into my hands. Trust that I am weaving something greater than what you have asked. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, Ephesians 3:20. I do not fall asleep over your desires. You see delay. I see completion taking form. You see emptiness. I see a foundation being laid. Let your heart rest in my faithfulness. Do not measure my love by how quickly I answer. Do not judge my care by the form my answer takes. I do not change according to your emotions. I am still listening, still seeing, still working. And when the appointed time arrives, you will realize that not one day of waiting was meaningless. My beloved, hold firmly to that faith. Let my silence not frighten you, but strengthen you. For within that stillness, I am continuing to write your story in the most complete way. And when you look back, you will understand that every prayer, every tear, and every groan has been treasured by me and answered in ways far beyond what you once imagined. My beloved child, there are moments when you stand before silence and call it rejection. You look at the passing of time and assume that I have turned away, but I speak to you with gentleness and certainty. What you think has been closed is often simply being held back, not because I am delayed, nor because you lack worth, but because I am working at a deeper level than your eyes can see. The Lord is compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in love. Psalm 103:8. That slowness is not indifference, but the fullness of love carefully at work. You may think I am refusing, but in truth, I am preparing. You may think I have said no, but often, I am simply saying not yet. I am a father who does not give merely to satisfy urgency, but to build endurance and strength. When I hold back a door, it is not because you are unworthy to enter through it, but because I desire that when you do enter, you are steady enough not to be overwhelmed by what is inside. To everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1. My timing is neither late nor early. It is precise. Consider Joseph. The dream I placed in his heart came early, yet its fulfillment arrived only after many years of testing. If I had lifted him into authority immediately, would he have possessed the depth to carry it? But through the pit, through the prison, through misunderstanding and isolation, I shaped him into a vessel strong enough to hold great responsibility. When his season arrived, he did not only receive the blessing, but he was mature enough to steward it. So it is with you. I do not only desire to give you what is good, I desire for you to be able to carry it and use it fully. Look at the seed I place into the ground. It does not become a tree overnight. It remains hidden in darkness, covered by soil, appearing as though nothing is happening. Yet in that very darkness, roots are forming. In that hidden place, life is being gathered. The seed sprouts and grows, though the sower does not know how. Mark 4:27. Growth often happens in silence. You may not see progress, but that does not mean there is no movement. When I place a promise within your heart, I also place a process within it. The darkness of the soil is not a place of ending. It is the beginning of rooting. If a seed rejects the season of being hidden, it will never grow strong enough to rise. If roots do not go deep, the tree will not stand when the winds come. You ask for blessing, but I am also building the foundation so you will not collapse when that blessing arrives. For there are things that, if given too early, would become a burden instead of a gift. My beloved, the delay within me is not cold or indifferent. It is protection. It is formation. Just as a potter does not quickly remove a vessel that is still soft from the kiln, I do not place you into a new position before you are ready, for we are his workmanship. Ephesians 2:10. I do not leave my work unfinished. I am shaping you, strengthening you, and making you able to carry more than you once thought possible. And when the season comes, for it surely will, you will understand that the time of waiting was never wasted. You will look back and see that every silent day was a day of preparation. Every prayer that was not answered in the way you expected was a step in building depth within you. You will not only receive the blessing, you will carry it with humility and strength. Therefore, do not fear the quiet. Do not rush to dig up the soil to see whether the seed has begun to grow. Trust the process. Trust me, those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. Isaiah 40:31. Waiting in me does not drain you. It renews you, and when the appointed time arrives, you will no longer call it delay. You will call it the perfect wisdom of a Father who loves you more than you can understand. My beloved child, there are questions you carry in your heart that you do not dare to speak aloud. Why has what you asked for not yet come to pass? Why do doors remain closed? And why does the sky seem so silent? I do not condemn you for asking, but I invite you to lay those questions down in trust, like a child resting their head upon a father's chest. My timing is never off by even one beat. What you call late is often exactly on time. According to a wisdom far beyond your sight, the Lord holds time in His hands, and He never comes too early to interrupt the process, nor too late to miss the moment. You see through the limits of the present. I see from beginning to end. You see one turn. I see the whole path. You see a closed door. I see the turns that are protecting you from what does not belong to the future I have prepared. For my thoughts are not your thoughts. Neither are your ways my ways. Isaiah 55:8. This does not mean I am distant. It means I am greater in scope. I know what is forming ahead, what must be removed, and what must be preserved to protect you. Learning to trust is not only for the moments when everything aligns with your desires, it is formed most deeply when everything seems to move in the opposite direction. Faith is not the comfort that comes after answers appear. Faith is choosing to hold my hand when answers have not yet come. The Abraham waited many years for the promise of a son. He saw only advancing age and weakening strength. Yet he did not waver in faith when he considered his own body. Romans 4:19-20. He chose to trust the one who had promised rather than the circumstances surrounding him. And in that waiting, I made the impossible possible. My beloved child, waiting in me is not an empty void. It is a forge where I shape your character. It is a season in which I deepen your roots before your branches rise. If I gave you everything all at once, you might rejoice for a moment, but you would lack the foundation to stand when the winds come. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall soar on wings like eagles. Isaiah 40:31. That strength is not formed in haste, but in waiting. There are times when you feel that all you can do is wait. Yet precisely when you believe you are powerless, I am working in the deepest way. Consider when my people stood before the Red Sea, with no path ahead, and their enemies behind them. They could not open the way by themselves. But in the very moment when they could do nothing, I parted the sea for them. Exodus 14. Do you see, your helplessness does not make me helpless. When your hands fall still, my hand begins to move. That stillness is also the place where I teach you to look upward rather than around. When you fix your attention only on what has not yet happened, your heart can be overtaken by disappointment. But when you turn your eyes toward me, you begin to perceive a greater purpose. David said, My soul, wait silently for God alone, for my expectation is from Him. Psalm 62:5. That silence is not hopelessness. It is anchoring. I am not only preparing the thing you are waiting for, I am preparing you. For if you receive what I have promised before you are formed, it may become a burden instead of a blessing. Waiting teaches patience. Silence teaches discernment. Delay teaches perseverance. And when the season arrives, you will not only rejoice in the result, you will understand that you were transformed through the process. Therefore, my beloved, allow your heart to rest in this truth. I do not miss my timing. Not one day of your life falls outside my care. When what you have asked for has not yet appeared, it does not mean I have forgotten. When a door has not yet opened, it does not mean I have not heard. I am working in ways beyond your understanding. Learn to trust not only when the light is clear, but also when you walk through the mist. Trust that when you cannot see, I still see clearly. When you feel you can do nothing, I am doing more than you imagine. And when the appointed time comes, you will realize that every day of waiting was not a loss, but a gift I used to lead you into what is holy and good, my beloved child. I see the weariness settling into your soul like evening shadows over a field after a long day. I do not dismiss what you are experiencing, nor do I call your exhaustion weakness. But do not struggle to create strength for yourself. when I stand ready to become your strength. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. It is in the very place where you feel emptied that I desire to reveal my gentle yet unshakable power. Place that weariness in my hands. Do not continue straining, as though everything depends on you. You were not created to save yourself, nor were you called to carry every burden alone. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. The rest I give is not an escape, but a restoration of the soul. When you lean on me, you do not become weaker. You are renewed. I know you have been waiting, and within that waiting, there are moments when you wonder why what you long for has not yet come. But my beloved, what I am preparing for you is greater than anything you can imagine. I do not withhold because I lack love. I withhold because I love deeply. A wise father does not place a sharp sword into the hands of a child who is not yet mature enough to use it. I do not give hastily, because I do not desire what is good to become a burden that causes you to fall. Remember my people when they demanded to enter the promised land at once. Yet because their hearts were not ready, their journey was prolonged through the wilderness. It was not because I desired their suffering, but because I desired their preparation. Deuteronomy 8:2. The wilderness is not a place of abandonment. It is a place of formation. And so it is with your journey. Every moment of delay carries purpose. I am cultivating endurance within you, deepening the roots of your faith, and teaching you to know me, not only through blessings, but through my presence. Do not accuse me because certain doors have not yet opened. Instead, give thanks that I see what you cannot see. There are things that, if given too early, would overwhelm you. There are dreams that, if fulfilled before you are ready, could cause you to lose yourself. But as you continue to persevere in waiting, you will receive not only what you desire, but something more complete. No good thing does he withhold from those who walk uprightly. Psalm 84:11. That goodness is not merely material gain or visible success. It is maturity, depth, and a living relationship with me. I do not only desire to give you gifts, I desire to give you myself, for I am the source of every blessing. If you seek only what I give and forget to seek me, you will easily become discouraged when what you long for has not yet arrived. But when you seek me first, you will discover that my presence itself is the greatest blessing. Seek the Lord and his strength. Seek his face continually. 1 Chronicles 16:11. When you have me, you have a wellspring that never runs dry. My beloved, slowing down is not loss. It is the rhythm I place into your life, so you will not stumble through haste. When you surrender your impatience to me, I give you peace in return. When you offer me your weariness, I give you renewed strength. And when the appointed time arrives, you will understand that every moment of waiting was used to prepare something far beyond what you once asked for. Therefore, rest in me. Do not let delay make you question my love. I am not slow. I am precise. I am not withholding because of reluctance. I am acting in wisdom. And what I have for you is not merely a temporary blessing, but lasting fullness. Trust this. Fai, the one who loves you more than you can understand, am holding you within my perfect plan, my beloved child. Release the hurried breaths of anxiety. Do not let your heart be stretched thin by impatience, nor allow silence to make you question your worth. I am working. Even when your eyes cannot see, I move in the deepest layers, where your light has not yet reached, within what you call coincidence. I am arranging, within the darkness that seems empty. I am weaving something radiant. The Lord is not slow in keeping his promise. 2 Peter 3:9. Silence is not absence. It is the hidden preparation of love. When I open a door, no one can close it, and when I close it, no one can force it open. Revelation 3:7. Therefore, do not be afraid of the doors that remain shut. When I declare that it is time, every opposing force must move aside. You will see the precision of my timing. And on that day, you will understand that not one tear you have shed was ever wasted. You have kept count of my wanderings. Put my tears in your bottle. Psalm 56:8. Every sigh has been remembered by me. Every moment that felt like rejection was only a step leading toward a greater gift. Remain steadfast. My child, the best has not yet arrived, but it surely will. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. Philippians 1:6. I do not abandon my work. I do not begin something only to leave it unfinished. And when you look back, you will smile and say, every delay was a testimony of a love that never misses its timing. I have seen the moments when you stood in silence, staring at the ruins of your life, wondering whether anything good could ever grow from such desolation. You held the broken pieces in your hands and believed they were nothing more than fragments of painful memories. But hear me. I turn ashes into beauty. Isaiah 61:3. I do not need a perfect blueprint to create a masterpiece. I use the very cracks to let light enter. I use failures to build depth. I use brokenness to reveal a beauty you have never known before. Remember Naomi, who returned to Bethlehem empty-handed and filled with bitterness. She believed her life had been marked only by loss. Yet in the fields of a new season, I was weaving the story of Ruth, of Boaz, and opening a lineage that would lead to the Redeemer. Ruth 4. From what looked like an ending, I wrote a beginning. So it is with you. I do not look at the fragments in order to mourn them. I look at them in order to restore. My child, do not underestimate the process I am carrying out in quietness. Like a seed hidden in dark soil, the roots grow deep before the shoot ever breaks through. The seed sprouts and grows, though the sower does not know how. Mark 4:27. Growth often unfolds beyond what the eyes can see. When you think you are standing still, I am making you steady. When everything feels slowed down, I am laying a foundation so that what is coming will not shake you. Therefore, rest in me. Let hope rise again like dawn after a long night. You are not forgotten among the ashes. You are being prepared for new beauty. I, the one who created all things out of nothing, I am able to bring forth what has never existed from what you thought was lost. And when the door I open stands before you, you will not step through as one merely surviving the ruins, but as one restored, equipped, and sent. Hold your heart firm, for I am at work, and what I am doing for you is not only repairing your past, but unveiling your future, a future in which you will look back at the desolation and realize that it was there, in that very place, that my unfailing love began to write the most radiant chapter of your life. My beloved child, when your eyes rest only on the scattered fragments lying quietly across the ground of your life, I am already seeing a greater picture emerging through every hidden stroke. You see ruin. I see a structure being rebuilt. You see cracks that cannot be repaired. I see pieces being joined together according to a deeper design. We know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love Him. Romans 8:28. This is not vague comfort. It is a truth actively unfolding within what you are experiencing now. Not one wound of yours is treated lightly by me. Not once have you fallen without me being there. I do not waste your pain. I do not allow your losses to pass as something meaningless. Every collapse becomes a deeper foundation I lay. Every wound becomes a place where I will bring forth wisdom. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. I do not heal you merely so you may stop hurting. I heal you so you may grow. You call it an ending, but I call it a beginning. You see the slowing of your path and think you have been left behind, but I know you are being led through a necessary journey. Like Joseph in the prison, he did not understand why he had to endure years of being forgotten. Yet in the place that seemed like abandonment, I was preparing him for a position that would save an entire nation. Genesis 50:20. What you call delay is often the process of lifting you to a place higher than you have ever dared to hope. Remember this: nothing in your life is accidental. I do not work by chance. Even the doors that suddenly close are still within my hand. The Lord will guide you continually. Isaiah 58:11. There are paths I do not allow you to enter, because beyond them lies danger you cannot yet see. There are opportunities I withhold because, if received too early, they would pull your heart away from the direction I have set. I do not close to harm you. I close to protect you. Consider Balaam, who insisted on walking down a path that seemed favorable in his own eyes. He did not see the angel standing in the way, yet his donkey perceived it. Numbers 22. What he thought was an obstacle was, in truth, protection. So it is with you. There are moments when you feel frustrated because you are being restrained. Yet in time, you will recognize it as mercy. Protection does not always appear in the form you expect. I see your future more clearly than you see your present. I know what is approaching, what must be removed, and what must be preserved so that you do not lose your way. I do not close a door merely to leave you empty. I close it to lead you toward another one where the blessing is not only outwardly attractive, but inwardly enduring. The Lord is my rock and my fortress. Psalm 18:2. In me, you are protected from the paths that would have shattered you. My beloved, trust that every detail of your life is being arranged with purpose. Do not judge the present chapter too quickly when the story has not yet reached completion. I do not see your life as scattered fragments. I see it as a whole being brought into fullness. And when that picture is finally revealed, you will understand that not one pain was wasted. Not one closed door was without reason, and not one delay was meaningless. For I, the one who rules over all things, I am holding your hand through every turn. When you see fragments, I see beauty taking shape. When you see loss, I see restoration. And when you believe you are standing at an ending, I am opening a new beginning, where true blessing waits for you in its fullness and at the perfect time. My beloved child, I have seen the nights when you turned your face into the darkness and let your tears fall because what you desired did not come to pass. I do not condemn you for your pain. I do not see those tears as weakness. But my child, do not allow the fog of sorrow to cover the vision of faith I have placed within your heart. Loss may be real, but it is not the entire story. If you keep your eyes only on what has passed, you will struggle to recognize the new path I am opening before you. There are things you have held too tightly because you feared losing them. Yet I invite you to release them so that you may receive something greater. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3:5. Faith is not the ability to understand every reason, but the choice to trust in my goodness when the reasons have not yet been shown. You call me Father, then trust me as a child trusts the guiding hand of their father. Even when the road ahead is not fully visible, I do not want you to walk only by what your eyes can see. Your sight can be misled by circumstances, but my promises do not change with the shifting conditions of your life. For we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7. When you move forward without seeing the entire path, you are declaring that you trust me more than you trust your fears. And in those very steps, you will begin to realize that I have never left you to walk alone. You have asked me for strength, yet you imagined that strength would come easily. Something placed gently into your hands without cost. You hoped I would give it to you fully formed, requiring nothing from you. But true strength is not wrapped in comfort. It is born through trial. It is formed when you stand firm against opposing winds. My power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. It is when you recognize that you are not enough that you begin to learn how to depend on me. Look at David. He did not become king simply because he was anointed. He faced lions, bears, and even Goliath. Those battles were not punishment. They were the places where I shaped him into a shepherd for my people. Without the lonely days in the wilderness, would he have learned to trust me on the battlefield? So it is with you. The days when you feel stretched are not proof that I have abandoned you. They are proof that I am strengthening you. The strength I give is not a hardness that no longer feels pain. It is a steadfastness born from dependence. When you kneel in your weakness and say, I cannot without you, that is when I begin my deepest work. I do not remove every trial so that you will never weep. I walk with you through every trial so that you will never fall. My beloved child, do not fix your eyes on what has been lost and forget what is still to come. I do not deny your sorrow. but I do not desire for you to remain in it. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Psalm 35. That morning is not only a change in circumstance, it is a transformation within your heart when you realize that I am still there, still leading, still faithful to my word. Therefore, rise from the place of regret, wipe your tears, and look ahead with trust. I do not take anything away without purpose. I do not allow you to pass through fire without intending to refine you. The strength you are searching for is not outside of you. It is being formed within you by me. Keep moving forward, even if your steps still tremble. For in every step, I am there. And when you look back on this journey, you will understand that the days you thought were your weakest were the very days I was shaping you into someone unshakable. Thank you for listening to this message. Know this, you are not merely a listener. You are chosen to live daily in the presence of the Word of God. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you will not miss any of these spiritual messages. Amen.